It's hard to believe that we're into the final home stretch of October right now. This time of year always comes and goes so fast, so I just try and savor every moment of it because it's just such a short window of opportunity this time of year that we have to enjoy some nice weather and some good views and some good grouse hunting that's ahead of us. It's the morning of October 23rd, and I've came back to an area that I enjoy hunting once or twice a year. This is the area that I first started grouse hunting in. So whenever I go into some of these covers, I'm sure you guys can relate to this a little bit. It's just a flood of emotions and memories from some of my first grouse hunts and getting some of my dogs on their first birds. And I just like coming back to these areas just to relive those moments. So this morning, I'm gonna give it a shot out here in one of the areas where I first started grouse hunting. And funny thing about this spot is the cut that's behind me is finally coming into prime age for grouse. It's 8 years old now, and I've actually watched this cut grow up since it was about waist high. And while there's been birds traditionally in this area, they haven't always been in this aspen cut. So I'm excited to be able to start hunting this aspen cut. But I'm not going to hunt the cut at first this morning. I'm going to venture into the back side of it. There's a creek back there, and there's a lot of other different cover back in there as well that I've always found birds in. It's not your traditional grouse type habitat, but I do stumble across birds in there from time to time. And it's one of those spots as well where if this cut gets hunted or if there's pressure up front here, birds are going to flood to that back piece where I'm going in this morning. Typically doesn't get hunted by people as much, so that's what I'm going to start off by doing this morning, and then I'm going to work my way back into this cut and work my way around it. So I'm excited to see what I find, see if we can come across some birds and just let the memories flood over me from some of the past hunts that I've had here before. I'm looking forward to it, and let's collar up one of the dogs and see what we go find. Ember. Wow, that was crazy. I think there was 5 grouse that came out of here. The dog went on point in here, and I was circling around to the front, and I really wasn't thinking much of it. That anything. Good girl, Ember, here. Good girl, heel. Good job, girl. Heel, come here. Give, good girl, Ember. That's a beautiful bird. Nice work, girl. That is a big, mature red bird. That's awesome. Really nice work, girl. Like I said, I was not expecting anything to come out of here. Just this little point right here. Because this is just all fresh, brand new cut. They actually came in and cut this whole area right here. And I wasn't expecting this to be cut. I had no idea it was cut. And we popped out of this loop that we did back through the woods. And I was just gonna walk down the trail here, see what this area looked like. And the dog went on point in here, and I really didn't think much of it. So I started circling around to the front. And all of a sudden, birds started just popping everywhere. I think there was 5 or 6 of them that came out of here. There was one that shot across in front of me here, another one that shot back. This beautiful red bird that crossed just in front of me to the left gave me a picture perfect shot in the wide open. And then there was a couple more that dumped out and went across here. I was not expecting that at all. Look at that though. That is a beautiful bird. Beautiful red drummer. I got a GPS alert. Ember's on point. We moved over to the edge of this super young cut. It runs along the creek just below us. She locked up on point. Yeah, I see her tail. She's right in front of me. I'm gonna just try and be quiet, sneaking through here. She is right there. Oh man, that bird got the best of me. That one made me do a little jump when it flushed because it was right here, sitting right here. The dog was on point right there and the bird was actually behind the dog. I was expecting the bird to be sitting down on this hillside and it got up just below these stumps right here and I missed. Good job, Ember. Nice point. I got a GPS alert. That Ember's on point. She's 60 yards in front of me. I just had a grouse flush out of this autumn olive patch in front of me. That's not the bird she was pointing. There she is right there. There it goes. There's a woodcock. Good girl, dead bird. Well, that was cool. She was on point right there, and there was a grouse that was sitting right in here, and I was trying to get through here. That bird ended up taking off, and she broke when it flushed. She went up there, and I saw her catch wind of something else, and she spun around real quick and stopped, and as soon as she stopped, that woodcock jumped up. Good girl, Ember, dead bird. Good girl, here. Good job, Ember. Nice recovery. Good work. We've been looking for this little doodle for a minute. I thought I had it marked pretty good where it went down, but I was just a little bit to the left. I thought it was down in here, but she went over here and picked it up. Good job. Nice work, Ember. Good job, thank you. Good work, girl. Pointing a couple grouse. Found herself a woodcock. It's been a good walk. The calendar has now rolled over to November. It's November 1st today, and I've left the grouse woods behind for a little bit to do a little pheasant hunting. And I am in no means at the mecca of pheasants, but there is some small areas that some wild populations reside still where I live. It's early afternoon right now, and I have ran a few dogs today, but I've only turned up a few hens. I haven't ran into any roosters, so I'm gonna go out and give this spot a shot here. It's some nice looking cover, and it's surrounded by one standing cornfield and one cut cornfield. And I've ran into a few birds in here before in the past. I haven't been able to shoot anything, but maybe our luck will change today. Overall, it's been a pretty nice day for hunting. It started off really windy, you know, gusts up to 25 miles an hour. But the wind is starting to lay down here this afternoon, so it should be a pretty nice evening to hunt. It's overcast, it's cool, feels really good out, especially for the start of November. So I'm excited to go give this a shot. I'm gonna give Fox a run here, see what she can turn up. Fox. Fox just locked up on point right here in front of me. She's in this grass. The bird. The bird, Fox. Wow. Fox had gone on point back there, and we were just slowly trailing up together, and that rooster got up behind us. I knocked it down. Here, come on. Good girl, here. Here, Fox, here. Come on. Good. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good job, Fox. That's a nice rooster. Nice job, Fox. That was cool. Yeah, we were just slowly working up, trailing this bird through here. We cut the corner of this cornfield, and she locked up on point, and I made my way to her. And then she just slowly started working up, and the two of us just kind of moved up together real slow. She was tracking and I was trailing. The bird got up actually behind us. He was running around in there on us a little bit. Nice job, Fox. Fox and I did end up having some luck on that walk, and we ran into a bird that wanted to play and gave us a good shot, and I knocked it down on the second shot. And yeah, so that was a good walk with Fox. It was short, but was able to get a bird in the bag, so that always feels good. And this evening I'm gonna go out to one of my favorite spots that I enjoy hunting here, and I'm gonna take Yeti out and see if we can end our day with a bang here. This spot has just a little bit of everything, just kind of everything a pheasant hunter would look for. We've got some ponds and water in here with some cattails, a couple different types of grass, and some standing corn that's here as well. So there's always plenty of food in this spot. There's plenty of cover. I'm gonna go give it a shot. Always enjoy hunting here, and get Yeti out and see what we find this evening. Yeti. I got a point in the cover just to my right here, so I'm going to circle out in front of the dog. Yeti. Oh, there it goes. It was running on us. I knocked it down. It fell in the corn. Come on, Yeti. Come on, Yeti. Come on, Yeti. Come on. I did not kill that bird. I just knocked it down. Come on, Yeti. Come on. To bird find. The dog and I spent the next half hour looking for this bird, and unfortunately we weren't able to recover it. I knew when I shot that I just broke a wing, and it was going to be a tough bird to find with it dropping into that standing corn. It left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, so I decided to call it a day after looking for that bird and coming up empty-handed. Well, my favorite time of year to be a grouse hunter has finally arrived. We've made it this far this season already. October's gone now, and today is just a picture perfect what you would imagine as a grouse hunting November day. It's pushing about 50 degrees right now, so it's a little warmer than it is sometimes, but outside of that, it feels pretty good out. There's a pretty good breeze blowing through the air, about 10 miles an hour, and it's just an overcast, steel gray sky day. All the thick cover that we've been fighting against the last month and a half has finally came down, and that happened over the last 2 weeks. So there's hardly any leaves left on the trees. All the cover on the ground has dropped, all the ferns, grass, and everything else, and it's just the barren woods. And this time of year, when all that cover falls off the trees, I finally start to hunt aspen cuts a little bit more. Not to say that I don't hunt in or around aspen earlier in the season, but this time of year, I pretty much really just start hunting aspen stands or anything with a high stem density. And that's what this spot is that I'm standing in here right now getting ready to hunt. This is actually one of my favorite spots to hunt this time of year because it's just a giant swath of aspen. I think it's 13 years old now. It's a 2011 cut, and it's 150 some acres, so it's just one big continuous swath of aspen. And this time of year specifically, this spot usually holds a fair amount of birds, and I've had some really good luck and really fun hunts in this spot in years past. So we'll see if that holds true today, and I'm gonna get the dogs out and go turn one loose and see what we run into. I'm looking forward to it. Gonna grab Ember, take her out through here. This is a pretty big spot, a lot of ground to cover. I'm not gonna be able to cover all of it tonight. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, and with daylight savings a few days ago, we lost an hour in the evening. So by 5:30, I would imagine it's probably going to be almost dark out this evening just because of this thick, heavy cloud cover that we have. So anyways, I'll quit blabbing, get the dog out, and we'll go see if we can find some grouse on this beautiful November afternoon. Ember. So I'm just going to push into the middle of this, try and follow some of these trails and edges that go throughout this whole spot. It actually rained just a little bit here before I arrived, which is funny because it said there's no rain in the forecast. It actually just got done raining for the last 3 or 4 days. So there is a little bit of water on the ground, but it's all right. We needed it. It's been so dry. And I don't necessarily mind this little bit of rain that we got before I got here, just because it's going to put a little bit of moisture in the air to help out scenting conditions this evening. So we'll see what happens. I just got a GPS alert. Ember's in here on point. She's 55 yards in there. So I'm going to circle in front a little bit here because the wind's in our face. Try and get in front of her a little bit around this bend and then push back to her. I might be able to spot her in here as well. gonna go ahead and cut in. There she is, right there. She's looking up that way. There may be a woodcock sitting here. Not really sure. Oh yeah, yep, there it is right there. Look at that. That's cool. Woodcock season is closed now, but it's really neat. The bird's just sitting there on the ground. Whoa. There it goes. Right here. Dog got birdie over here and trailed down and just locked up on point right here. That bird was sitting right on this opening. Man. And I missed. That bird got up and it just hugged this tree line so freaking well. There's where my pattern went. Right here. Yep, I smashed that tree pretty good. Oh man, that was cool. It would have been cooler if I hit the bird, but man, dog locked up right in front of me, looked real serious, and I was expecting that bird to be sitting. There's this clump of raspberries that have lost all their leaves and stuff. I was expecting that bird to be on the other side of these in this little lane that's over here. There's just a small little lane that runs up on the other side. And that's where I was expecting that bird to be sitting, was on the other side. And it was sitting on this side, and it got up right on the edge of this clearing. And it hugged this tree line so well. Right here, the dog just locked up right on the edge of this open clearing. She looks pretty serious. It's just gonna be tough for me to get to her without this bird blowing early, getting a shot. Oh, man. Good job, girl. That was a swing and a miss for me. I had a decent look at that bird. I was expecting it this whole time to be sitting in there. And it got up farther down. And it banked real sharp. And I had just a decent little glimpse of it crossing this opening. Man, just one of those shots, just like the previous one I had. Just wish you could get ones like that back. Because you tell yourself, I swear if I had a second chance, I wouldn't miss that. That's what's funny about grouse hunting, is every time you go into a point, you've got a spot kind of picked out in your mind that you expect that bird to be at or possibly get up from. And sometimes you just get tunnel vision and you get focused on that spot, and that's just what you're thinking. But a lot of times it's completely something different. That bird is just sitting off from where you're thinking it's going to be. And that's exactly what's happened to me twice this evening now. As I thought for sure that bird was going to be sitting in one spot, and it ended up taking off from a different spot. Good job, girl. Last night's walk was just a little underwhelming. I didn't quite come across the bird numbers that I was hoping to find. I moved 5 grouse and a couple of woodcock as well that were mixed in. And I got 2 really good looks and shots at 2 of the grouse, and I ended up swinging and missing on both of them. But I didn't quite have as much time as I normally do to hunt that spot in full, so I'm sure there's some more birds in there. I just didn't have the opportunity or time last night to try and find everything that was in that spot. It's a pretty big area, and it takes quite a bit of time to cover. So this morning I'm back out here. It's just after 9 o'clock right now, and I've been waiting for the sun to just be up fully and melt off some of this frost, and it's starting to dry out just a little bit too. So the woods are going to dry out here shortly, and hopefully that means that these birds are going to be moving around a little bit in this cover when it dries out, and it's not so wet after the morning frost after it melts. So I'm going to start off by hitting just some of these trails and edges where the sun's shining down. You guys know I like that this time of year when you got a really cold morning to try and work some of those open edges where the sun's casting down to try and find some birds warming up in them. So that's the game plan this morning. This is just another big aspen cut down the road from where I was last night, and there's not a whole lot of cover surrounding it. So hopefully that means this time of year that those birds are going to be sucked and pulled into this high stem density aspen cut. So that's the plan. We're going to go give it a shot and see if we can find some birds. Hey, good girl. Fox. This is an 11-year-old cut. I hunted it once before, probably 3 years ago, and it was just a touch young, I felt at that point. And I found some woodcock in here that day, but I didn't find any grouse. But it's a few years older now. It's a little thinner than it was back then, just a touch taller. It was really short and thick back when I hunted. It was really good woodcock cover, but it's grown up some now. I'm gonna take a walk through it today, see if there's any grouse sitting in it. Fox is on point right here, just off the trail. There she is, right there. Oh, there goes a woodcock. That bird came off the trail. It was out at these mud puddles, probably probing around, feeding for worms. You'll see that sometimes if you just kind of check these muddy areas on a path. Sometimes you'll see the holes in the ground where their beaks are probing down, and they're sticking them in the mud to try and find worms. There's a few nice strips of this beach in here that runs. Some of it's in the aspen cut, and some of it's right on the other side of the trail. But I like this beach this time of year because, as you can see, besides some oak trees, it's about the last thing left in the woods with leaves on it. So it gives a nice canopy cover to the birds this time of year after all the leaves fall down. So I always like seeing beach in some of these mid-season November spots that I hunt. There's grouse in here. I got a really nice shot on this bird. Fox made a really nice point for me. We were working down this trail edge, and she went on point about 50 yards in front of me. And as I got closer to her, about 30 yards away, this bird took flight right off the trail edge next to me, and it crossed right in front of me, and I got a really good shot at it and was able to knock it down. But unfortunately, I didn't get the shot on camera. I had some technical difficulties there. My camera made a strange beep when I went to turn it on, and I missed the shot and everything that happened afterwards. But anyways, just wanted to give you guys a little update on what just happened. So we're gonna keep working down this trail edge and see if we can find some more birds. There's a few grouse in here this morning. I just got a GPS alert at fox is on point. She ran down this trail as I walked by it. And she ended up on point 60 yards down the edge of it. I can see a little opening area up here. That's a good sign. She's right up this way. I'm gonna cut around to this open edge here. Oh, there she is right there. She's looking that way. There's a little opening right here. I'm gonna cut back into that opening, get in front of her. She's right there. It's a woodcock. Good. Good girl. All right. Well, we're getting into a few birds. Couldn't shoot at that one. Season's closed, but it's always nice seeing the dog work and dog pointing birds. A couple woodcock in here too this morning. Fox made a really big cast. She went out to 150 yards. And my GPS isn't reading exactly right, so I'm not 100% sure of the direct line to go here to her. She was 150 yards away on point. She's standing there. She's 130 now, so I am going in the right direction. So I'm just gonna keep heading that way to her. Yeah, 120 yards now. She's standing there still. She's 50 yards this way. There she is right there. It's probably a woodcock sitting right here. There it goes. That was a big woodcock. That was a really nice point too. Dog hit that from 150 yards away and held it this whole time as I walked up. Yeah, she was really intense and just looking dead stare right in front of her, and I figured it had to be a woodcock when I saw that look on her face, that the bird was probably right in front of her. And it was, and I walked in and I watched that bird stand up right there, and it took flight and shot back away from me. Nice work, Fox. Really good job. Well, it's been a really slow day and a half of grouse hunting. That walk I did with Fox yesterday morning now, I only moved 2 grouse in there. I was hoping to move a few more birds, but that was it. Just those 2 birds in there and a pretty big walk we did. I was able to shoot one of them and come out with one, but other than that, not a whole lot to write home about on that walk. We did find a few woodcock that kept us busy for that loop we did. So that was nice, gave us something to play with while we were walking, but not a whole lot of grouse since then. Went on a walk midday yesterday as well, didn't find anything, and then the evening yesterday went on a pretty big loop and only moved 4 birds. And then out this morning, did a pretty big loop again and only moved 2 birds on that walk. I was kind of surprised by the bird numbers in that area. I've hunted that consistently for the last 5+ years, and every year been able to find at least decent numbers of birds in some of those areas that I hunted, but I just wasn't finding what I was looking for this year. So I decided today to drive up about 20-25 miles northwest of where I was and come to a new area, hoping that maybe the bird numbers are a little higher over here. I hunted just south of here earlier in the year, and the bird numbers were pretty good, a lot better than what I saw over the last day and a half. So hopefully this area maybe has a few more birds to it. I'm gonna go hunt down this road that leads through some different age aspen cuts. There's a lot of aspen in this area in general, a lot of different age cuts, and it just looks pretty grousey, especially for this time of year. So I'm just gonna kind of work these cuts and see what we come up with this afternoon. I'm gonna grab Yeti and take him out and see if we can find some birds finally. Yeti. It's a really nice November grouse hunting day out overall. It's in the 50s, but it feels a lot cooler than that. There's a pretty stiff wind blowing, and that wind is a little bit chilly. Sun's been coming in and out behind some clouds all day. Hopefully we find some birds this afternoon. This area looks good. There's a lot of different, there's a wad right there sitting on the forest floor on the trail here. So someone's found something to shoot at around here. Yeah, this area looks pretty good overall. I drove around it a little bit. Looks pretty grousey.
The bird hunt?
Yeah.
It's just like 50 yards back behind me right there was a grouse standing.
Oh, was it really?
Just that, right on.
Right on.
Yeah,
cool.
So if you just work your way up the road.
Good deal. Will do.
Yards.
Thank you.
You bet.
That's funny. That's great. The guy just pulls up and said there's a grouse right down the road. The dog's working a bird back in here too right now. Right here. He just locked up on point. Wind is blowing this way. He's right there on point. There it goes. Yeah, I figured that was gonna happen. Well, I got a GPS alert. Yeti's on point. He's kind of back behind me. He made a big cast out front and then circled back this way. He's 100 yards from me. GPS says he's on point. He's been standing there for a little bit now. I called him once. He didn't respond. So I'm gonna work my way to him, close the distance, and see if he stands there. There's a dog right there. He's facing right in front of me. He's right there. He's looking up this way. Stopped again. Oh, it's a woodcock. Oh, man, I was thinking grouse all day long. Oh well, that was a nice find, nice point. 100 yards from me, and I walked all the way here. He stood there, and I came in and flushed the bird. Nice dog work. Just got a GPS alert. Yeti's on point in front of me, 56 yards. He's straight up here. I just made it through this little opening, clearing. There he is right there. Right there. The wind is coming from my right to left, right to him. So I'm going to stay way out in front of him and go right to this point, right here. Right there, yeah. He looks pretty serious. Well, that bird was sitting in this little open spot of aspen here, and I missed. He got up and did just a freaking great job of getting behind all these trees here, and I just barely caught a glimpse of that bird when it took flight. He had all those trees between me and him. He kept working his way down this little drainage. Went on point a few more times, kept trailing up, and he's finally stopped for a minute. He was 90 yards away. I'm trying to get to him now. He's been standing like this for a minute though, so he might have it pinned down here finally. See the dog right there? It's facing up this little hill. Wow, I can't believe this. We can just not get a good look at a grouse to save our life. I saw that bird come up out of there, and it was going from left to right, and I saw it between this tree line and this one pine tree that's right in front of me, and there's a gap and an opening between them, and that bird shot up right between that. And I was like, perfect. I'm gonna wait because that bird's gonna cross that pine tree and come shooting across here. And that bird, as soon as it hit that pine tree, turned straight away from me and flew dead away and pretty much covered himself up with that tree. And I took one shot as he just started to cross to the right under some branches. And then I shot again, and that bird was gone by that point. Man. Credit to the dog, he trailed that bird around in here for a minute. Finally got it into a spot where it held. And I come up, and I saw the dog on point right down there. That bird took flight, and I was really thinking it was going to cross out here. But it didn't. It got behind that pine tree and pushed straight away from me. Well, that is going to wrap up this video and also my first half of the season so far. Our deer season for rifle opens up here in a couple days from now on the 15th. And when that happens, all upland game shuts down for a 2-week period until December 1st. So I'm gonna spend a few days and some time here over the next couple weeks deer hunting. I'm going up north with my dad for opening day of rifle season. I always look forward to that and hopefully be able to get some venison in the freezer this year. And then I'll be back to chasing birds again. Kind of a little underwhelming week of grouse hunting that I had previous few days of this video. I really wasn't able to put anything together to be able to come up with any trends for finding good numbers of birds this time of year. I've done really well in years past, but just wasn't able to get into a lot this year. I don't know if it has to do with bird numbers overall or just, you know, inconsistent cover that I was hunting or what it was. I just wasn't able to really put my finger on anything for finding or not finding birds the last few days. The only consistent thing we were finding was ticks. We have been finding a lot of ticks this year. Almost every hunt that I've gone on, I've been pulling a dozen or so at least off the dog. Sometimes I've been finding 25, 30 ticks on a dog in some of these spots that we've been going into. I think it's just because of the mild weather we've had so far this fall, and it's been so dry. The ticks have really hung around a lot longer than they normally do. But anyways, like I said, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks again for following along. And you guys enjoy the rest of your November. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you back out here in December sometime.